Wrestling, that was a premium live event, and it was just a press conference. Gene is actually out, Gene Cherry out in Las Vegas, was there, I believe, in the building, sent us some footage. Robin Lundberg, of course, Dave Sepperson here with you reacting as he's got Super Bowl coverage to tend to. But we're going to still voice his opinion for him as we go on here on the show. But that was something. Whatever you think about what's taking place here, Sep, to me, what we're witnessing right now from WWE is once in a lifetime kind of stuff.
Yeah, we loved what we saw last year with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn and all that stuff. And that was like cinema and everyone was so excited. And this to me is just as good. And hey, kudos to WWE. We can get into how we feel about like work shoots, all that stuff, because we're working ourselves into a shoot. But man, what a press conference. That was awesome. When you can turn something as what should be as mundane and boring as a press conference into a legit like internet event where like my phone was blowing up. I got people texting me for opinions and things, and I'm just like back and forth. Like it was so special. A lot of open-ended questions, which I loved. I think like that's just how you do it. It's like, because the big thing has been like we're building Mania, and I get that because Mania is the big event, but Mania is so far away. The build is what we should be building to. Like we should be like, what's gonna happen on Raw? What's gonna happen on SmackDown? That's what you want to build towards. And to me, that's why this was so good, is because it made Raw on Monday must watch. I gotta know what's gonna happen from Seth's point of view, from Cody's point of view. Will Rock and Roman show up again? Who knows? Like that's what to me is like that drives not just Mania, but that makes WWE and their entire product better.
Well, this was a fumble by them that they then recovered and could run for a touchdown. To me, that's the way I look at it, because this whole, and when we talk about whether or not it was a work, which we'll get to in just a second, but I think the broadest takeaway from the press conference is The Rock sort of turning heel, right? I mean, that began with the Pat McAfee show when he was saying Cody crybabies, and I love that energy from that's the ish I needed to see from The Rock, right? Like because he's felt like Rudy Poo, apple pie, whatever he's, pumpkin pie, cherry pie, whatever he says, his little rhymes and stuff. And I don't know, nothing he's done in Hollywood of late has resonated with me. He just kind of felt eh. And this was, there he is. There's The Rock. I knew it.
Because like, here's the thing. I love The Rock. I'm gonna see Moana too. You don't have to sell me on that, Rocky. Like, I love you. I'm gonna see it with my girls. Like, it's gonna be great. But like, yes, I want to see character Rock. I don't want to just see like I'm the man. Yeah, like give us something. And this is something to sink our teeth into. It's it's Hollywood Rock. And listen, I'm gonna talk. Like, I'll say what Gene was saying. Like, he was being like, "Oh, you guys were worked the whole time," and I think I agree with you. Like, we don't think it was. But like diving even deeper into the press conference, like yes, The Rock was a big takeaway. I actually thought Cody looked really strong. I know people are like, oh, he got slapped and didn't punch him back. But like his bar about like those two guys not being there for 2 years and like how can you be the head of the table if you ain't doing any cooking? I thought that was an incredible line. And then like I get it, like you want to see Cody come out and just like punch Rock in the mouth, as CM Punk was saying, like punch somebody. But it leaves you wanting more, which I think is great. I think the person who maybe took a little, like Seth took the biggest hit because he was kind of like just in the background. And I like that he stood up for himself and he kind of like didn't let Triple H push him out of the way right away. And he was definitely fired up. I thought Roman took a little bit of a hit tonight because like he kind of looked like Rock's backup and kind of like his like sidekick. So that to me is a little bit of a miss because he's the champion. He's the guy. So like I understand Rock's the biggest draw, but Roman should be the most important character in this as the champion.
Yeah, Roman can get that back in one promo. I mean, look what he did to Seth the other night, right? Like, that's what I think. He's built up too much, and that music is too hard when it hits that he can snatch that back. I don't disagree with that. Like, he looked more like the Jimmy or the Jey Uso to The Rock's Roman, right? In that backstage segment especially. Mm-hmm. But I think Roman can just snap that right back because he's built that for 2 years, and we saw what he did on SmackDown. It is Seth who took the biggest hit. I mean, Seth is the one of these things is not like the other guy. No disrespect. But he has worked really hard. He's a good worker. He's a true pro, all those things, but he's not on their level. He's just not on their
I
level as a presence and a character and on the mic and all those things.
He also just, and this is why like everyone's talking about like, and we'll get into all what we want to see too, is but like everyone's talking about like a tag match. I'm like, absolutely not. That'd be the worst case scenario for me. But we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's just I love Seth, and so like there's still a lot of great outcomes that can come out of this because he doesn't need to be with Cody, and you don't need to shoehorn him into this. There are a lot of other people, and like we talked about Jey Uso in the past deserving a shot, and I do think like Jay and Jimmy still is the match I want to see, just because like I know how much it means to them personally. I know they really want it, so like I want it for them. But like, yeah, if you put Jey Uso in a World Heavyweight title match with like a Drew McIntyre and a Sami Zayn, like that's an incredible match and a main event spot, and it protects Seth in a 4-way. He doesn't have to be in the ring the whole time. So like you could also make that a triple threat. You don't have to put Jay in there, but I think like you want to put Jay in that main event spot. And potentially if he gave him the title, I want Sami Zayn to win it. I think Sami, off of what he did last year, it would also be kind of a little out of left field, which would be a little awesome. I love when there's a little bit of surprise at Mania. And to have Sami kind of like capture a main title like that would be awesome. But yeah, Seth definitely took the hit tonight.
Oh, Seth took the hit. The biggest beneficiary in all this is Cody Rhodes. I don't think it's even a question at this point. That the fact that the fans refused to let Cody, be forgotten about here in this. The fact that he has this moment.
We have a problem.
The Rock. I mean, I know he got slapped, but still, that's going to be the thing that is shared everywhere, right? Like,
yeah.
And the crowd is sitting there. The Rock. I don't care what anybody says. The Rock was not planning to come back and be booed when he says, "I'm the people's champ,"
Sure.
or the Bloodline is the most amazing family in the history of the WWE, or any of these things. Those are not that's not the plan that The Rock had when he was coming back. Nobody, I think, expected that groundswell of support for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Completely agree. Like, then the crowd was really a little all over the place. It was actually probably one of my least favorite parts of the night. It was kind of like everyone, it was like we're going into business for themselves. Like, we want Rocky, we want Cody. Somebody's cheering for Seth. Somebody's like rooting for LA Knight. It's like, what's happening? Like, it was just all over the place. And so I don't think they ever could have quite prepared for that because, like, listen, LA has a lot of fans who are probably there for the Super Bowl. And people who showed up, so it's a little bit of a mixed crowd of like people who are like, wow, The Rock's in town. I'm going to go see The Rock. And so like
Las Vegas,
like at a WWE event, like you're going to get more people who are like, no, Cody's our guy. We want Cody. The chance will be more like Cody. I agree. Cody definitely took the biggest step forward tonight. But yeah, that was like a little bit weird. So I'm going to talk a little bit now of like the are we being worked situation, because like Gene was texting us like, y'all got worked. This is the plan from day one. You guys didn't let Triple H cook. And like, listen, I respect Gene's opinion. And if that's the case, if we got worked, hey, I'm glad we did. But I will forever believe that they made a decision or somebody from above pushed a decision. It got a bad reaction. The internet went crazy, and they are now pivoting to a new reaction. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's what I believe. And quite frankly, I'm glad it went the way it did because this has been incredible. So if it's a happy accident, that's amazing. At the end of the day, I hope WWE always listens to the audience. I've always said that. Like, so I think they know what people want, and they're not going to not give us that. So I do believe at the end of the day, we will still get Roman and Cody at WrestleMania, and maybe more. So we'll see.
Well, here's the thing. The crowd that you were just talking about and the way that they were chanting, because they didn't know what the hell was going on. And that's why you got mixed reactions. Because I don't think WWE knew what the hell was going on or knew the reaction that they were going to get. They were not that galaxy brained. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because the flaw in that argument, the flaw that it's a work, is that what happened on SmackDown made no sense.
Agreed.
No matter what happens from here on out, no matter what happened before, that night, which is a historic night in the grand scheme of things, made no sense. Because Cody Rhodes won the Rumble, then gave his spot up to The Rock, looking like a punk in the process and getting memed into oblivion. We know CM Punk was hurt, so we know one variable changed between Sunday and Friday. We know The Rock is on the board, so we know that's a big variable that could have changed between now and then. But credit to them, they adjusted. They adjusted, they ran with it, and now we got magic because of it. And they're playing, now they are working it. Now they are working, you know, I brought up before, people are going to resent The Rock for being on the board and the Hollywood and the corporate aspect. Well, they're playing into that right now. I mean, they got him backstage kind of challenging the authority of Triple H and saying, if you don't fix this, I'm going to fix it.
You got to fix it. Fix it. Have them talk shit about our family again. And that's what happens.
It's out of line. You know it.
It's not out of line. How much? Have them talk shit. If you don't fix it, we will. Have them family again.
So, you know, backstage, they're playing into that. And that's when wrestling is at its best, right? That's when people like wrestling the most. When
there's a line
meets the story.
There's a line at the end of that promo that like Rock said to Hunter that like, I don't know the announcer's name. I apologize. She like really was like, what just happened? And they, because of all the language, they had to like blade it and stuff, but they were like, you know, a delay. So they chopped something. So I'm excited to see what that is, because I feel like that might have been important that we missed, that I think they're going to play for us probably once they edit it all together on Monday. Because I think like once we see the recap of all the moments they really want us to see, and like there was a moment, and I don't know if people will catch this, but like where Rock and Roman did like the clasped hands, which was very reminiscent of when Cody and Rock did the clasped hands. So you're going to see a shot in one of those packages where like they clasp and then boom, it goes to Roman and Rocky. So like these little moments, like there's things, if you just look for on the screen, you'll notice little breadcrumbs of stuff where like, okay, we did that on Friday. Now this is how we'll push it forward. And like, those are the things that I try and look for when I'm, because like as an editor and somebody who's edited for video for WWE and like, you know, now in my career, it's just like breadcrumbs out of that where you will see things like, oh yeah, they specifically put that there to use for a promo for something. And like, yeah, so like they're definitely course correcting and like good, because that's what they should have done. Like if people aren't happy, the job is to make the consumer happy and at least get us something interesting. Because like people just didn't want to see Roman Rock, and not that we don't want to see it, it's a great match, but they didn't want to see it at Mania if it didn't make sense. Like that's the best part about Triple H's booking. It's been logical. And this, everything tonight was logical. It made sense. And so like when you use logic to book, it's going to always usually turn out pretty good.
Well, they had a chance to have the crowd turn on everybody if they just tried to force it down your throat. Like they could have turned on everybody, because you know they Rocky sucks chance had already started, right? And then the Rock fans are going to be like, Cody sucks, when the we want Cody stuff is coming up. And Roman is sort of toiling in the wind at that point because he can't have a stance either way, you know. And so they were and he would be caught with the strays. So they were in the not to mention the people who were already like say they're tired of him, want him to go away or whatnot. They had a chance to alienate the fans to all three of them, and that would have been an epic blunder and an epic disaster. But instead, they adjusted. And I'll give them credit for that. Now that you could see they feel it. You could see The Rock feels, all right, here it comes. I'm bringing it. You could see Triple H had a little bit of confidence. Like, and it's like Rock and Nick Khan against Triple H now, right? And you got that whole thing going. In a sense, I hate to bring up his name, but there was once someone who ran the WWE and played a heel character. Sure. And because he was the boss, like The Rock has a little bit of that spirit and energy going on right now. Now it's obviously totally different story and situation and circumstances and all those things, but that sort of character, if you know what I'm saying.
The WWE books wrestlers against the authority better than anyone. It's the storyline they've been running forever. When Triple H was the authority character, to Stephanie, to John Laurinaitis, to Teddy Long, to you name it, they've all been the authority in some way, shape, or form. And there's always been a superstar they're trying to screw over. So like that storyline is a tale as old as time. It's never going away, and I'm fine with it. If it works, it works. And this one definitely works. And I will say for our guy Gene, I know how much he loves The Rock, and I know how excited he is to see him. And I hope The Rock wrestles at WrestleMania, because there are a lot of people who are going, or who even bought tickets after, because they were like, wow, Rock's going to be on the card. I'm going to see Rock wrestle. So like, I do want to see Rock in a wrestling match, because like that's what fans want to see. You know what I mean? It's like now the question becomes, what does this look like? And so we can throw out a bunch of scenarios and let's do it. It's going to be fun. I'll start with one. To me, best case scenario is Roman and Cody now on one of the two nights.
Well, Triple H also has announced that Roman and Cody are facing each other. So
they've announced, but yes, I always say, until I see it in the ring, things can change. So for now, yes, it is official that Cody is announced he's going after Roman. That is one of the main events of WrestleMania. Night 1, night 2, we don't know. But in my ideal world, Cody versus Rock and Roman versus Cody. Cody could work both nights. He's the babyface. You could have him go over twice. And heck, you want to finish the story. That's quite a story to finish, beating two legendary superstars in the Rock and Roman Reigns.
Well, okay, but here's a twist for you, right?
Okay.
And I didn't, and you know I how I felt about Cody. I thought it was right that Roman beat him. I thought he needed to beat Roman now. But what if The Rock screws Cody against Roman?
It's a possibility.
And it would be good. Come on, because it would be good because the heat would be so legendary. The thing The Rock said coming off that plane was on long game Dwayne, basically. You know, he said, I'm playing the long game. And remember, he now has a vested interest. This might be the most important thing for his career going forward. You know, he's going back in a sense, but he's really going forward also in his role as a member of the board. So I love the fact that he brought the right energy, and you have to give The Rock credit. This is all a bigger deal because of him. If we're being real, it's all a bigger deal because of him. So he will be involved at WrestleMania one way or the other. I don't know if it's in a match specifically. I don't know if it's in some version of a tag, if it's Roman and Rock against Seth and Cody one night, and then Cody and Roman in another night. There's a lot of different possibilities, but I think that is now one to consider since The Rock is sort of ganged up with the bloodline, is that The Rock cost Cody, and Cody continues to have to persevere to event. Then you can get Roman to Hogan. You can get Roman to pass Hogan. You can get a Cody Rock match on the way, and then Cody can beat Roman and talk about the best climb that's ever happened.
Yeah, I've said, listen, the chase is always better than the final. Like, now what do you do with Cody after he's the champion? So I get the thought process of like continuing the storyline and finishing the story, and like making Cody have to keep working for it. But like the arbitrary Hogan number for Roman, I don't understand why people care about it. It's like, who cares if he's number 2? Who cares? It means nothing. He's not,
because they don't want Hogan. It's just like they want. I mean, it's not with the same force.
Hogan's like, no, but they call me.
They want him not to be mentioned there. He's the modern record holder. I know Bruno Sammartino actually has a record, but no one has ever seen Bruno Sammartino wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, no, with their own eyes, no one's actually seen Bruno Sammartino wrestle.
My thing is like Hogan's back in the fold now, so like I don't think that whole like they're trying to scrub him history thing makes any sense. So I don't get it. Like for me, Roman's had a great run, and yeah, if we're being honest, like he's not even really taking Hogan's title because he was the Universal Champion before he got the WWE Championship and they merged. It's like all these numbers are all just whatever, they're made up. Like who cares? It's just such an arbitrary thing. But like to me, what's the most interesting storyline? So yes, Rock screwing Cody, keeping the belt off of him, and then now if Rock's really invested and you have a Cody Rock storyline, the argument I would go against that is, listen, Rock is very famous. He has a ton of things on his plate. He can't be at Raw every single week for 2 or 3 months. Like that's just not a feasible world with the amount of stuff he has.
He doesn't have to be. He screws Cody at WrestleMania. That heat brings him to SummerSlam with an appearance here or there.
I guess, but then what do you do with Cody in between? It's like there's a lot of like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I agree with that decision. The tag match is the one I don't want to see. I think, yes, that protects Seth, it protects Rock, and I get it. It makes a lot of sense from a match standpoint, but from a storyline standpoint, like, I don't know, shoehorning Seth in there feels weird. And he doesn't need this. There's so many other matches I'd rather see him in and storylines they could do with him to maybe help elevate other talent with the World Heavyweight Championship. They're like, this should be Cody, Rock, Roman. And maybe it's the triple threat, which would be weird too. The 2-match night thing that I said earlier, I think makes the most sense, especially if it's like Cody Rock to fight Roman, since they both want to fight the champion. But yeah, it's interesting. I just don't know what the decision's going to be. And that's the best part, is I can't wait to find out.
Well, we don't know much about the card other than it was announced that it's going to be Cody and Roman. And we know it's going to be Io Sky against Bayley. I saw CM Punk, credit to him, really shouting out Bayley, saying, she deserves to be in the mix for a WrestleMania main event. And I still think the women are in play to main event one night of WrestleMania. If they don't do this story, this whole Rock, Roman, Cody arc both nights, If it winds up in one match somehow, then I think the women are going to get the other night. Because Seth, again, I think he's took the biggest heat here. I'm not sure exactly what you do with him. I think you could do like a triple threat with Drew and Sami Zayn.
That makes the most sense.
Something along those lines. Obviously, they seem to be setting up Rhea and Becky Lynch.
Sure.
Rhea is so over right now. Can't get hotter than she is. They need a match for Bianca. Is it going to be Jade already? I mean, who's the other opponent? If it's not Bianca who's going against Rhea, and it's Becky who's going against Rhea, who's going against Bianca then?
I mean, it makes most sense for it to be Jade Cargill. That Rumble moment feels like the perfect way to kind of lead to that match.
And then you got we talked about this before, but I do think now Jey Uso and Gunther might be the match for the Intercontinental title.
I could see it. I still don't love it. Not just because listen, I love Jey Uso, and I think if he won that match and won that title, it would really propel him to another level because that title is now so important because of what Gunther's done. But I just love Gunther so much that I don't really want to see him lose it. I kind of want him to like drop it one day and like just never take the L. I feel like that would be just.
But part of being that monster and getting to that level is you put somebody else over on the other. Gunther's done enough where it's not going to hurt him to lose.
No, of course not.
He's going up to the main event, and I've said this. Jey Uso's a star. You look at the merchandise sales, you look at the crowd reaction, you look at all those things. He can't continue to job out. He needs his moment, and that to me seems like the most natural moment that can present itself. He's not in the main event scene right now, obviously. That's the one where it can feel like a big deal. You went and you beat Gunther, who's had this huge title reign, and it can pay off this arc that Jey Uso's been on.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, and it makes sense, and I understand it. But for me, I still have just envisioned Jey and Jimmy at WrestleMania for so long that like it's hard for me to wrap my head around them not doing that because then it's like, well, then what do you do with Jimmy and Solo? Are they just background characters in the Cody Rhodes story? I mean,
maybe.
I guess, but that feels like a little bit of a waste with those two guys as well. I think they both have higher ceilings, so I'd like to see them kind of like weaned out of that storyline a little bit to give them something else to do. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, listen, we know Rhea and Becky is definitely, to me, feels like a definite main event, and Rhea's main event match at Elimination Chamber is going to be unbelievable. And there's a good chance the momentum from that could propel her where everyone's like, oh, you know what? She deserves to be the night one main event.
Well, Rhea has built herself enough. She's a superstar where sometimes, and you sort of feel this vibe coming with the women a little bit because Rhea talked about this. Rhea talked about how she and Charlotte felt like they should have main evented last year. She did say the boys deserved it, and I think she understood because you had the Sammy KO against the bloodline, and that had been built for so long, so there was an emotional investment. But she said they sort of took that personally, and they said we're going to go out and show why we should have main evented, and her and Charlotte put on a banger. Now you have Bayley saying, why am I not on the poster? Why am I not in the mix for the main event? So that's another woman, basically saying we deserve it. And we constantly prop up the women here. So if you're not sprinkling that Rock juice on both nights, or the Rock, Cody, Roman, it's basically a triple threat of intrigue, however that plays out. If you're not spreading that out over both nights, then I think the women, and in particular, Rhea Ripley at this phase of her career, at this very moment in time, is a bigger deal than whatever they do with the other title that Seth has.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that statement. I think that makes a lot of sense. The only argument to me would be if you're going to put the World Heavyweight title as the main event of night one, you have to have Seth drop it to give someone that like main event like push. And so like that's why I said like if it was Sami Zayn, who quite frankly to me, after everything he did with Roman last year, and he's just been like even the Johnny Knoxville WrestleMania match, that was a banger. Like he's been such a great company man. He's been such a great character. He deserves a night of like, this is your night. The problem is he hasn't really had that shine for a while to be like the guy, but I'm hopeful they'll kind of use the next 2 months to get him there because that's what I really want to see.
All right, last thing before we wrap this one up, the news out of AEW seems like obviously, that Sasha Banks, or formerly Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, is headed to AEW. I've said they needed that sort of acquisition, that sort of star power. They're setting it up for this show in Boston, without revealing it, they've revealed it with all the boss, sort of illusions.
You don't spell Boston with 2 S's.
Yeah, it's clear as day that that's going to happen, which is, I think, good for her at this point, considering we just mentioned all these other women at WWE. She's the woman at AEW, and I think it's good for them because it's the most splashy move that they've made in a while. The downside is WWE just has such a rolling snowball of momentum going into WrestleMania right now. She debuts, cool, everybody knows about it. What happens 2 weeks after that, I guess, is my
this is the toughest part because like AEW is in a tough spot right now because they are trying their best to keep things really interesting, and they had a great double swerve with Swerve Strickland and Hangman doing a double turn in that, which was incredible. And they're trying stuff which I really like. And listen, I get it. Sting's heading towards the end, so they're giving him his last draw on the tag title, stuff like that, which makes a lot of sense, and it's smart booking. But yes, like we are in WrestleMania season. This is what everybody's talking about. This is where the attention is right now. So AEW is taking a little bit of a backseat, and that's okay because once WrestleMania goes away, they'll get another chance to try and come back with MJF and all the fun stuff I'm sure they're going to have planned for him, and with Mercedes Moné, because whatever she's going to do in AEW will be must-watch. She is a must-watch superstar. She is so talented. She's proven it everywhere she's been, whether it's New Japan, whether it's WWE. She will do the same thing in AEW. She will elevate that company, and she will elevate all the wrestlers around her. And there are a lot of great matches they can have on their card. So, I'm very excited to see what she does. Boston's her hometown. It makes a ton of sense to bring her out there. It's a little early, I guess, to officially say she's going to be there, but I would be very surprised if they don't officially announce it before that, because it's not like you're getting everyone to show up and be like, oh, we didn't know she was going to be here. Everybody knows she's coming. So I feel like that's one thing where you can kind of be like, hey, she's coming and she's here next week. You know what I mean? Like in 2 weeks.
I don't think they're going to announce it. I think they've already announced it without announcing it.
Yeah, but you sell more tickets if people know she's going to be there for sure, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think we could look no different than the Rock Cody stuff from Friday. They said, that St. Louis show sold a bunch of tickets over the weekend to help build that crowd on Monday Night Raw, even though Rock and Roll weren't even there. Like, just the fact that people thought they might, it can help. And so if you're trying to build the tickets, telling someone like, hey, you come to this show, you're going to get to see the debut of, Mercedes Moné. All right, well, now I know I got to be there, instead of maybe I got to be there. You just give the people a reason that they know they have to be there. I'm very intrigued by that.
Well, we know we're going to be there for all the WWE programming after we saw that press conference. We hope you will be here for the Needle Wrestling. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us and check it out. Gene should be back for the next episode. Dave Sepperson, Robin Lundberg, we're out.